Hey, hey, hey. How's it
I
going?
know. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
Hey, hey, it works.
Hey guys,
Hey, Tara.
how are you?
Good, good. Good to see
Good,
you.
good. Good to see you
How you
too.
doing? How you doing, Tara?
I'm really good. How are you, Nona?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. How's the weather over there, by the way?
Uh, actually, we finally have some sun. We've had like a week and a half of rain, so the garden is
Oh,
happy, but I'm excited to see the sun today for sure.
okay, awesome. Did you start gardening yet? We haven't started yet.
I did actually. I got stuff in very early.
So
Nice.
lucky you. Yeah, it's good with all the rain and stuff. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Awesome, awesome. Okay,
How about you,
so
Jacqueline?
Gardening is not my thing.
That's
she has a
okay.
big garden behind her. Look at her behind her.
I know. Yeah, that's lucky. That just happens. But no, not a strong suit. I tend to just things just die. I don't. I yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
And I'm in a condo, so I don't really have to deal with maintaining a garden anyway.
there you go.
Mark, you got to maintain it, right? Like you got to keep it up.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of work.
Okay. So it's great to have you guys here. This is our first, they call it the Instagram living room, I think, right? It's like a living
Something like
room.
that.
So welcome to my living room. And I think you know who that guy is. He's always in my living room. Um, it's just, it's a crazy time, that we've all had to endure. It's an anomaly. At least in our generation, even my parents' generation, they've never had anything like this, right? Like where it just disrupted the whole world.
Mhm.
So I think it's a good, timely talk we're having about disruption and about perseverance and what better people to talk to than two, strong women that have been successful even pre-COVID, during COVID and now post. We're kind of at the end of it now, but I hope. But to learn from you guys and to get some tips from you guys would be great. For myself, for my chapter, and also, everybody listening, the advisors or even consumers, because I know there's a bunch of consumers already on here waving and stuff at us.
All your
So
friends.
welcome to everybody. Yeah, yeah, friends, clients, everybody. So I'm hoping to have it's a good turnout and it'll be some great value we could provide everybody.
Thanks for the
So,
invite.
yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
love being here.
So for people that don't know, I'm known as Hunjin, or they call me Nona for short. I know it's grandma in Italian, but they call me Nona. I'm the communication chair at Advocis Peel Halton. I've been part of the Peel Halton board. It's been an amazing group, amazing people that work there. I'm sure in every board, but I've seen these guys firsthand. I've seen other boards as well. Just their passion for the business, right? Like this is something everybody's already so busy. There's already so many things to do, so many things to look after. We got our family, we got our business, we got our personal life, we got everything. And they're always there on time. I end up missing meetings. So these guys are much better than me. But just seeing these guys and getting inspired from them, it just inspires you, right? So I'm hoping to get that same spirit of relentlessness and perseverance from you guys, and then we could, spread it out to the rest of the world, I hope. Um, so I would like to ask, it's a two-part question, the first one. I'll go with you, Tara, first. Just just to set the stage, like how I know we hear on the news, there's a lot of negative stuff we hear, like our hearts go out to all the people that have lost loved ones. And also the businesses that have been shut down, you know.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we could find some tips by the end of this, and we can, help those people get through whatever they're going through even more.
Mhm.
So I'd like to ask you, how has life changed for you, just personally and professionally?
Yeah, wow, a lot. On March 11th of last year, I got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying I wasn't going on my business trip the next morning and that I was going to be sent home for 14 days. And as we now know, it's turned into 14 and a half months.
Wow.
So, life has changed personally in so many ways. I mean, we're navigating personal relationships in ways we've never had to do before. Um, and, I think the way it's changed for me the most is that I've been able to kind of look at my life and find ways to simplify. I think we all lived in a little bit of a rat race before, many of us anyway. And so finding ways to kind of just enjoy, eating 3 meals a day at home, little things like that, reading books, personal health, whatever kind of path you've chosen to go down, there's more time for that. Professionally, we've, certainly as wholesalers, had to find ways to pivot. I know that's a term that's being used a lot. Finding methods to connect with MGAs and advisors alike, and from an advocate's perspective with members. The good news is no one stopped selling insurance. And so we've been able to find ways to thrive. So of course that means doing things virtually, but really everybody's adapting at the same time. Nobody's dragging their heels. So that's made things a little easier. So while we've had to adapt as wholesalers and an insurance company, members of Advocis and financial advisors are kind of following suit, and no one's dragging their heels on it because everyone's livelihood depends on it.
Yeah, I've noticed too. I think it's like, in that sense, it's a good thing that all this kind of happens. If there is anything positive out of it, that would be great. Because I know I have a bunch of advisors here. The longer they've been in the business, the more set in their ways they are. And no one can tell them anything else. So they were set in their ways, and nobody wanted to transition over to the e-apps. They would ride or die the physical applications or whatever. And I think this has been great for them because it forced them. Whatever I've been saying or we've been telling them, you need to transition. The world's changing. We got to be ahead of that curve. Otherwise, you're going to just fail. But this forced some of them, most of them pretty good, some of them that were really hard-nosed about it, this forced them to do it. And
That's absolutely right.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. I should have done this a long time ago, so they're very happy. They got paid quicker. Everything's just quicker and it's much easier, right? So that was one good thing that I thought professionally that came good out of it. So Jacqueline, the same thing with you. Are those some of the same reasons that have changed with you?
A lot of what Tara says does reflect with me as well. Her and I are both in the wholesaling world, and honestly, I don't know how I did all the things I did before. It was just go, 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 go. In between meetings, you'd have to catch up on emails, phone calls in your car in between seeing clients, and then you'd be out at night hosting, doing events, traveling. Honestly, I don't know how I kept up on that speed. Now with COVID, you kind of take that step back and go, okay, you're working more like 9 to 5. So you gain so much more out of your day-to-day where you can reconnect with family and friends. You have a little bit more time for yourself. Tara, you mentioned kind of reading a little bit more. I've taken up bike riding. So I'm riding every morning, kind of getting up with the sun and having that time to myself. And it just was something that you could never carve out that time before. Not with what we were doing anyway on the wholesaling side of things.
Yep.
Yeah, even like us, that it's better for us, but also it's better for the consumers, They don't have to get their living room ready. Someone's coming over, buy a bunch of samosas for the Indian agent that's coming over, get the tea ready or whatever it is. It makes their life much easier as well. Like, they pretty much, if you could explain it to them through a Zoom call or through a phone call, and they understand it, they would much rather do it online than versus in person. So it cuts both ways. It's good for everybody. I think those are some of the positive things that have come out through this pandemic. How has it changed for your members? Like, how are you guys? I'll go with you, Jacqueline, first. How has the Toronto chapter adapted to this? Like, how have the members adapted?
Yeah, we were talking virtual. So with the Toronto chapter, we've always had issues hosting events because we never really know where to host them. We're a Toronto-based chapter, but to host something downtown Toronto, most members are not happy with that. So we usually actually host our events up in Richmond Hill, which is not part of Toronto proper. So we'd actually be hosting Toronto events outside Toronto, just because people didn't want to come into the city. Pivoting now to online, we're now able to capture more attendance, more eyes than we ever have before. And we've been able to expand outside just our Toronto chapter and bring on other chapters to our events. So we're really, really able to have a further reach where no longer a limitation. So it's been a bit actually for the Toronto chapter.
Okay, awesome. And Tara, exactly, I'm sure some of those would be the same for you as well.
Yeah. One of the things that Jacqueline said that I think resonated the most is collaboration with other chapters. I mean, that is something I've only been around 2 years, but I don't think that was happening near as much as it's happening now. So we've been able to collaborate in the Winnipeg chapter with the Saskatchewan chapters, and there's even an event that we're putting on in 2 weeks with all of the Western Canadian chapters. So that's something that we haven't been able to do before. So like Jacqueline mentioned, a way farther reach. I think in terms of the chapter itself, visibility was really key that first couple of weeks. You know, that when everybody was kind of trying to figure out what was going to happen, how long this was going to last. National, I felt, really gave us the tools we needed in those first few weeks to really be visible with the members so that they knew at all times what we knew. We didn't know everything. We didn't know what was going to happen, but what we knew, they knew. And we were able to communicate that as clearly as possible. And then, of course, just kind of the ramping up of social media, of course. So using that much, you know, less as a tool to just advertise an event here and there, and much more engaging with members, engaging with sponsors. That became a real point that we needed to really focus on at that point, bringing value to all these different kind of areas that Advocis has to offer. So definitely visibility, definitely collaboration in this new kind of virtual environment.
Yeah, it's great. Going forward, I know we're not gonna totally let go of, you know, the virtual stuff and go back to the physical. Like, I'm pretty sure every industry is gonna have some kind of hybrid form, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Have you heard back from the members? Like in Peel Halton, a lot of the members miss the networking and seeing people. Is there anything that you've heard back that they're gonna miss and you're gonna make sure it doesn't go away once this is all over?
Networking was the #1 thing on my list. And so you just said it. That is the thing I certainly miss the most even just as a board member. So I know the members are out there just chomping at the bit to get back in. Sharing ideas with other advisors, that's invaluable. And so I know that they're really excited to get back you know, into in-person events. One thing that we really tried to kind of jazz up our events by hosting these little things called 60-second sizzles. These are ways that we get people excited. We get someone on stage, you know, a sponsor, and give them 60 seconds to kind of do their pitch. These are all the things that have kind of fallen to the wayside. We're excited to get back into in-person events for those reasons. Having said that, of course, I don't think this is ever going away. I think we're gonna keep going down this path and just find ways to slightly tweak it.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to an MGA recently, and they were saying the exact same thing. Let me get Jacqueline back up in here.
We lost her.
Yeah, I think it's her network.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, Jacqueline? You all right, Jacqueline? You can hear us? Okay, that's okay. I was talking to a bunch of advisors also. I was talking to an MGA saying, you know, I've been stuck. Like, I come to my office all the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I've been seeing the same people every day. I'm going crazy, right?
Yeah.
The same Indian agents, like my same guys. Like, I love them to death, but I keep seeing these guys every day. And I used to go networking. I used to do so much stuff. And he would say, hey, don't you go out? I'm like, no, and I always joke. I'm like, hey, some of these guys are starting to look pretty good, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I've been seeing it for years. That's all I look at. I have nothing else.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what we miss, too.
Yes.
Let me get her back in.
There she is.
Yeah, She left again. Okay. We could keep.
Can you hear us, Jacqueline?
Oh, I don't know. I don't see her.
No.
Okay, fine. Routines. I always talk about this, even before COVID. I used to talk about it a lot. You have to have some kind of a routine. You know, as old school as it sounds, our parents used to talk about it. You better wake up at this time. You better do this. You better do that. Have a routine of what you have a schedule. Ever since COVID hit, everybody's been thrown out of the routine. I know it feels nice sometimes that, okay, yeah, I get to stay home for a while. It's kind of like a little mini vacation. After a few days, it wears off. And you kind of start looking around like, what the hell am I doing? What am I supposed to do? You have no routine. How have you kept busy, or I call this, how have you kept sane during that time? What have you done? And do you read books? Like what is some advice that some people are at home, even if you're working at home, there's a lot of free time in between, right? Like you still got to keep busy. You can't really stay idle because you end up doing something stupid if you're, you know, like the saying, the devil finds work for idle hands, right?
Yes, yes.
It's stupid if you're not doing anything. So how have you kept sane?
Yeah, you make a very good point about staying sane because having that freedom and that ability to be home is a bit of a double-edged sword because there are distractions at home and there are kids and spouses and all kinds of things and quite honestly, even though there's less of a rat race happening right now, I'm finding that it would be very easy to get sucked into working longer hours. So because I think we're spending a lot more time online on Zoom and on Teams, that really takes away more time from your workday than you even imagine. Like an entire day can get sucked away. You know, you talk to 4 or 5 different people. So speaking about routines, what I find that I went through that kind of being home, trying to figure out what that looked like, and I really needed to sit down with with my digital planner and really kind of map out how I wanted my day to look. It didn't mean it was going to turn out exactly the way I wanted it, but at least I had a clear idea in mind of what I needed to achieve and how many things I thought was reasonable to achieve. So sometimes that means starting the day a little earlier to get that workout in, or eating a healthy breakfast before starting the day. And then the other thing I found that's really worked is block scheduling. And that's really been working for me this last little while because you're distracted on Zoom calls and on Teams. It can distract you from the bigger projects. So you might be able to answer emails quicker and kind of do those reactive things. But when you have proactive projects that you want to work on that are actually going to generate some activity, those are the things that fall to the wayside, right? So I have literally gone into my calendar and block scheduled the 4 or 5 projects per week that I want to achieve to generate activity, which is my main objective in my job. And that means, you know, if it means I have to change colors so as I associate them with things, I've been finding that's really working. And then finally, my last piece of advice would be when your day is done, you shut the office door. If you're lucky enough to have an office, you step away. You really need to step away. I hate to say the term get outside because I know that's something everyone's saying, but you need to schedule in that time for yourself because that is what keeps you sane. That little bit of fresh air. Maybe it's not outside, but it needs to be away from your computer.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you have those big things planned, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, everything in between gets improvised. Like you have to have it in your head. You have to plan the night before, right? Like what you're going to do the next day.
Exactly.
If you don't know what you're going to do, you're probably not going to do anything, right? So we were just talking, Jacqueline, how do you keep sane? How have you kept sane?
So funny that I dropped off the call, technical issues that we deal with days. Oh no, the internet's not strong enough. Just completely lost connection. Oh well. So staying sane, again, I'm going to go off what Tara was just talking a little bit there, but yeah, definitely scheduling in a break. You have to take a break because I've found days where I've sat on my computer, you know, I'm up, it's right there. I'll sit down at 7:30 and you don't even really get up till it's 5:30. And you're like, what did I do all day? Did I just sit here in front of the computer? What did I actually achieve?
So true.
You have to schedule some time. And you know what? Even in the middle of the day, I'll meet up with, a colleague or a client. Let's go for a walk. And you know what? It's productive. It gets you moving, and you're still talking shop. You're still, having some business conversations, but you're just changing your setting a little bit. So I found that been really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Just to stay relevant, right? Like even the continuing education, you keep sharp. You got to keep improving yourself, especially when I think last year, there's two types, like in my perspective, two types of people. They either came out worse or they came out better, right? No one's really came the same because everything is not the same. The situation is not the same. The environment's not the same. Business isn't the same. Your family's not, you can't see certain people. So either you improvised and you did better, whether it's your workouts, whether it's, you're finishing a book you're writing or whatever it is, you came out better with your knife sharper or it's just more duller. Has this last year, I'm sure this is a question everybody could ask themselves, has this given you a better perspective of life, like more things to appreciate? Like, because a lot of people I've talked to, they said they always used to work a lot. Some people I know work 70, 80 hours a week. But they said, I didn't know I needed this, but they needed it. Has this changed your perspective a little of when to hold back, I'll go with Tara first.
Sure. Yeah. I don't think you're going to find anybody whose perspective hasn't changed. Just going back to that kind of rat race lifestyle. I don't know what we're going to go back to, but I know that I don't want it to look exactly like it used to. So I think it's really given us an opportunity to kind of sit back and remember who we actually are, what's important to us and what we actually want out of life and what's important. Work will always be important, but it's taken this last year for all of us to sit back and really realize that our priorities were maybe a little bit not quite where they should be. And just figuring out how to incorporate that into what life will look like. Because I think, touching on kind of what you said, we all for the last year have kind of been waiting for things to go back to normal, and I don't think they're going to. I think it's just going to look different, and there's no more going back, so it's really a matter of sitting back and thinking about what you want the future to look like.
Yeah, it seemed normal because we were like that forever, right? Yeah. So it becomes normal. So I think this might be the new normal,
Yeah.
So is there, Jacqueline, anything that you realize? I know, I don't know if I should, maybe I'll bring it up. I know you met, your boyfriend in the last year. So a lot of opportunities come, whether it's personal life or professional life. There's certain opportunities that come up. It's just the ability to realize them or see them.
Yeah, there's a lot that with being a wholesaler you put off because you just don't have the time. And with COVID, you had the time after 5 o'clock. So yeah, reinforcing relationships for sure, but also exploring and developing new ones. So I definitely got lucky there.
Good.
That's awesome.
Is she cut? Is she okay?
Freezing a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay. What has, just winding up here, I'll ask Jacqueline this first. What has worked for you the best? I know everybody's different. Everybody reacts to situations different. And even the situation may be a little different for everybody anyways. But what has worked for you the best? Like how to deal, how to cope? Because I know we just went past, we had mental health month the other month. It should be every month or every week. We should always be talking about that. It's such a serious issue, right? So a lot of those cases went up. I know mental health issues went up 70%, I think, in North America over the past year. So is there anything that you can say that has maybe worked the best for you and maybe it might work for somebody else? I'll go with you, Tara, first.
Okay. I would say the thing that I've realized and that's working the most for me is just the constant reminder that... Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, for me, it was finding that time in that early morning stretch to just kind of be in the quiet. and I cycled while I did that, but that was something I never had in my previous days, really, of just quiet, not screen time, not, mixing and mingling with people and networking. It was just kind of quiet. And in that morning, just when the sun's coming up, it's just such an amazing time, and that mental break I never had. So that's something I was able to find.
Okay. And Tara, yourself?
Yeah, I think I realized what worked for me the best was just kind of, I'm kind of one of these people in life that wants to do all of the things. I want to kind of learn I have a lot of hobbies. Just kind of realizing that now that I have this time, try to also not put pressure on yourself to do it all. You don't need to put pressure on yourself to learn a language and, master that designation and also get a six-pack. So just the remembering that you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything.
Hey, was that a punch you shot at me? I'm working on it. I have one more thing. It's a little off the cuff. I didn't tell you about this question. But we have 3 new up-and-coming members in the Advocis Peel Halton. And they had a question. They were here. They happened to be at the office, but they have a question for you guys. I'll go with Jacqueline first, and then Tara, maybe you can as well. So here you go. Ask it.
What advice do you have for kids staying home during COVID?
Oh, that's a great question. You know what, guys? I think the most important thing is to be really, really good to one another, and know that, mommy and daddy are probably working even harder to provide and do all the good things for you. It's always good to give them a good break and be creative. And really, maybe watch some TV too, but take a break and try to use your imagination. I think that's the best thing.
And Tara, as usual?
Yeah, I agree with everything Jacqueline just said. The only thing I can add is to make sure that you communicate with your parents. This is a really weird time. And I think that what you're experiencing at your age is different than what your peers might be experiencing based on their situation and even your parents. And so just know that that's okay. It's okay if you feel weird once in a while or sad or kind of frustrated, and make sure to communicate that with your parents and just keep that communication open and talk about your feelings.
Say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So that kind of wraps up our, hopefully there'll be Advocis members as well. So this is kind of winding down. Those were great tips, by the way. We recorded it. We're going to record this, and everybody should listen to those answers. In the spirit of being relentless or persevering, she disappeared again. Let me give her a shout. In that same spirit, because this whole year it's been nuts. A lot of people went through hell and back, and then back to hell again. If people have lost their businesses, they have lost family members. Like, it's been terrible. Or they cut their hours, or they have to pick up another job. Like, it's all about perseverance, and just not giving up. When you get knocked down on that mat, getting back up is one thing, but the whole thing is how long you're on that mat for. Don't stay the key is just don't stay on the mat. Just get up and do something, right?
Yeah.
So this guy behind me over here, MJ, he had a personal trainer named Tim Grover.
Yeah.
For 15 years, he was his personal trainer. And he basically trained Michael, got him through all the 6 championships, everything. He wrote a book called Relentless about 8 years ago, which has been #1. It's been going crazy. I recommend everybody buy that. He just wrote another book that came out last week. It's called Winning by Tim Grover. He's been writing it for 8 years. It finally came out. You could look at him on Ed Milet. Just search him up on YouTube. He's on Valuetainment. He's on everywhere.
Okay.
This book is amazing. It's about winning. It's really a blunt book. It's about perseverance, basically about everything we talked about today and how to get through it. And it's called The Unforgiving Race to Greatness and Winning. So it really is unforgiving, you know, like you got to go through a lot. People see all the other stuff, but just to what you have to go through, it's just hard, especially true for this past year. Mm-hmm. So this book, it's right here. It's called Winning. On behalf of our 3 chapters, as we discussed before, myself, Peel Halton, Advocis Winnipeg, and Advocis Toronto, we're giving 1 book away each. It just came out last week, so it's like hard to get sometimes too. We're giving 1 away each. We're gonna have a little quiz.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let me just try to get Jacqueline in one more time. So we're gonna do a quiz. So everybody listening, we're gonna look at the comments. I'll write down everybody's names.
Okay.
And let's go. Hold on,
Oh, I think she's back.
I think she's back too. Hey.
I try.
That's all right. That's all right. So we are doing the quiz. So I just talked about, remember the book? We're giving away Tim Grover's book. I guess she's spinning again.
Yeah, amazing.
We're going to give 1 away from each chapter. So we're giving away 3 of these. I'll mail it to you. Just hit me up on the Peel Halton website after when you win. So the questions, obviously they're about Michael Jordan. So everybody listen up in your comments, because there's nobody been more relentless than him. The way his work ethic, if you want to watch The Last Dance on Netflix, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about and what everybody's been going through in the last year or trying to get through it. He had that mentality, he had that mindset. So I think this is a great book. And one of the questions is, his trainer, Tim Grover, where was he from originally? Which country?
Oh, let's see the comments. Are they rolling in?
Yeah, they are. Tim Grover, which country was he from?
I hope there's lots of comments from the Winnipeg chapter members.
Let's go, people. Let's go. Tim Grover, what country? The States? No.
Okay. If I wasn't on my phone, I'd be Googling it.
Yeah. Chicago? No. Originally, like he immigrated to the States, but where was he from back? Like from which country? It wasn't anywhere in North America. India. Okay, this guy got it.
All right.
Darnville Real Estate. Okay, I got you. And that one's coming to you from the Winnipeg chapter. How many finals MVPs did Michael Jordan have? Finals MVPs. Oh, that guy's a little late. Hey, Viagila, 6. Okay.
Great job.
And the last one, how many All-Star appearances did he have? Let's go, Google fingers. How many All-Star appearances did MJ have? $15, close. Hey, the Hutch is on. Hutch, how many All-Star appearances did MJ have? 10. No. 11. No. Boy. 11. No. 14. Okay.
All right.
All right. So the first one, Darnville Real Estate. your book is going to be coming from the Winnipeg chapter. V. Ojala is coming from Advocis Toronto, and Harbrinder will be coming from Peel Halton. So
Congrats.
thank you guys for taking your time out. I know you guys are busy. I know you have big schedules. Because I know even though we're working from home, people think, okay, you're working from home, it's not that much work. You end up getting out way more work than you did before.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows you're at home, and they just keep piling it on, and they think that you're by your computer all day. So I know how busy you guys are. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for all you do for your chapters. Thank you for everything you do for providing value to Canadians. It's much appreciated by myself, obviously your peers, your chapters, Winnipeg, Toronto, Peel, Halton, all over Canada. And thank you very much. Everybody, I hope, found some kind of value for this. And we want to thank Advocis, for raising the financial literacy bar.
Yes.
And just providing value as much as we can to Canadians.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. No problem. All right. Until next time. Take care, guys.
Have a good day. Bye, Jacqueline.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.